I wanted to talk to you guys about DADGAE, which is one of my favorite tunings on acoustic, but I guess electric too, but one of my favorite tunings to use because it is so universal, while also still having the rich open sound of DADGAE. This is DADGAE, D-A-D-G-A-D. Very easy to remember. Excuse me. All DADGAE is you take your high D and you bring it back up to an E. Or if you're in standard, you just leave it as an E and you tune your low E down to a D and you tune your B to an A. Now what happens is you essentially get open A kind of. So this opens up two new chord shapes that you don't normally get in DADGAE. Those chord shapes are your A, which is I use my middle finger and my ring finger on the second fret of the D and G strings. And then I just take off my middle finger to leave my ring finger on the second fret of the G string to get my D. And then I play the second fret using my middle finger of the D, A, and D strings. And then my index finger on the first fret of the G string for my E chord or my 5. And then I slide that shape up, but I create a 1 fret gap between the two. So 4th fret of the D, A, and D, and then 2nd fret of the G for my E minor, for my F sharp minor. There's our minor 6. And this is a movable shape. So just like in DADGAE, you can move the shape all over. You can come up here to a G. Which again, because that E, it gets a little interesting. I don't know what that is. I haven't taken the time to think of it, but move up to your A up here. So there's two places you can play the A. You get your B minor, your C sharp minor, which I think sounds better in DADGAE versus DADGAE. And then your high D. And anytime we play those minor chords, all we're doing is we're increasing the gap between our index finger and our ring finger. You can still play your open D, but because of that E, it makes it more of just the 4th of A. So you can do all sorts of stuff with it. The beauty of playing in DADGAE is that it actually unlocks a little bit more to play with versus DADGAE, where you're just sort of limited to your D and then whatever you can capo. But then if you're playing up here, it gets a little crazy up here. With DADGAE, you've got those same shapes. And if I'm playing in the key of D in DADGAE, I'll usually fret whatever the same fret is of my index finger on that high E, because that feels like a 4th for A, and that feels more like a 1, a 1 chord, if that makes any sense, if I'm making any sense at all. And then anytime I slide up to my G, I'm going to fret the high E on the 5th fret in this case to match up with my middle finger. Promise I'm not flipping you off. My cookies are ready. So, as I was saying, you've got, you can still play in the key of D like you would in DADGAE. Or you can play in the key of A. Right? And then, because you can also play in this open A thing, you can then capo it in A or in D. So you've got capo, right? I personally use a G7th. It is like, you probably can't see it, but, oh, there it is. It's like a $70 capo. It was like $50 when I got it, but it's like $70 now. Best capo I've ever used. It's like a springless capo, so it maintains your intonation a little bit better. So now, whereas with DADGAE, I was limited to what I could capo and play in D. So if I wanted to play in like the key of G in DADGAE, I had to capo on the 5th fret, and then I'm playing all the way up here, which has its place, right? It's a nice tone. Right, but if I wanted to go any higher than that, if I wanted to go up to A, capo all the way up here. Now I can play an open A, which means I can then capo from there. So I can go up to B, play in B. It's the wrong chord. Right, or I can just capo on the 3rd fret and play in C. You couldn't do that with DADGAE because you have to capo on the 10th fret. So I can now play in C, those nice open voicings. The other thing that I love about DADGAE and DADGAE, both of these tunings, I know it sounds funny, it's because it is. The only thing, the fun thing about these tunings is that you can pretty much do whatever you want and it'll probably sound good. It's minimum effort, and I highly encourage you to just play around with these tunings. So throw, like, if you've got, you know, your normal chord shapes, start throwing your pinky and whatever finger you're not using in the mix somewhere. So if I'm playing like this A, I can do an A over E. I can add in a B there, so it's an A over B. This is it's just an A major. I can add that note in there. Yeah, you can just mess around. It's hard to go wrong. So the really cool thing about DADGAE and DADGAE tunings, like this, these open D, A tunings, is you can use all of these different notes that are within reach of your hands when you're playing these chord shapes to write melodies. And it's actually helped me a lot in this daily songwriting challenge that I'm doing at the moment. For example, in yesterday's song, in day 71, I do, which I still need to write a song tonight, it's 9:30, but I do this thing where I'm playing my D, which is just an index finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, right? And I add my middle finger to the 2nd fret of the D string, and then I take my pinky and I play the 4th fret of the D string. So I go, right? And I lift off that middle finger. So I'm just playing the regular D chord. And then I slide up to the 4, to the G. And then I can kind of play with that, and that's my melody then, you know. Da, 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 da. We'll go up to the 5, you know, to the A, who knows? And there's our melody, you know, we're already writing songs at that point, you know, we're getting rolling. I fried my hand off in the fryer, I don't know, you know, make stuff up, but I leave my boots by the door and hang up all my keys, and everything falls to the floor. I fall with it to my knees as I fall to my knees. You know, there's all sorts of different, it makes it easier to write songs that way. And I would just write that song, but it's the exact same melody as yesterday. So what I'm going to do is mess around with this tuning a little bit, come up with a different melody that I can use for today's song for those same lyrics. So anyway, you get it. It's a songwriting machine, writing using this tuning. Or if you just want to sound different, if you're playing a jam, if you're playing with other people, you want to stand out. You want to have a different sound than everybody else. You want it to blend together in some way, cool way, without you just playing it standard like everybody else. play in DADGAE. There's nothing, it's really hard to go wrong. So again, those chord shapes are your A, which is I use my middle finger and my ring finger on the 2nd fret of the D and G strings. And then I just take off my middle finger to leave my ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string to get my D. And then I play the 2nd fret using my middle finger of the D, A, and D strings. And then my index finger on the 1st fret of the G string for my E chord or my 5. And then I slide that shape up, but I create a 1 fret gap between the two. So 4th fret of the D, A, and D, and then 2nd fret of the G for my E minor, for my F sharp minor. There's our minor 6. It's that easy. It's that easy. And then, you know, in key of A, you've also got your B minor, which again is just that minor shape that you got down here, but all the way up here on your 7th fret and your 9th fret. And then you slide that up 2 frets and you've got your minor 3rd. You slide it up again and you've got this octave D. It's great. It's great. It's great tuning. You got to try it out. 10 out of 10 recommend. And then write some songs and tag me in them. So anyway, have a great rest of your night. Consider subscribing. If you found this video helpful, like it. Goes a long way. Yeah, comment below different things that you've done with this tuning before. Tag me if you use it in a song. I'd love to hear it. Anyway, have a good night.